It was a frantic night of politics in Europe earlier this week, with 3 elections essentially going on at once. And I'm not talking about Eurovision. The big election everyone was watching was Romania's presidential race. Bucharest Liberal Mayor Nicusor Dan came out on top, beating nationalist candidate George Simion. Poland also held its presidential election. According to exit polls from Polish TV, Warsaw's Liberal Mayor Rafal Trzaskowski got slightly more votes than conservative historian Karol Nawrocki. Over in Portugal, people voted in their 3rd general election in just 3 years. An exit poll showed that the centre-right Democratic Alliance was in the lead. It comes as a shift away from far-right and conservative candidates continues worldwide, with Canada and Australia rejecting Trumpist politics in their own recent elections. So let's get into what went down. Who is the new leader of Romania? Why are these European elections more important than ever? And can the EU finally breathe a sigh of relief as they battle against Trump politics? Bucharest pro-EU Liberal Mayor Nicusor Dan has won Romania's presidential election, beating a strong challenge from right-wing nationalist George Simion. The win comes after months and months of political chaos in the country. Romania's 2024 presidential election was thrown into chaos by claims of Russian interference. Investigations showed that far-right pro-Russian candidate Karol Nawrocki benefited from foreign-funded TikTok campaigns that spread disinformation. The vote happened amid public anger over corruption and economic issues, creating an opening for nationalist candidates. TikTok was a key tool in Nawrocki's rise, prompting EU and Romanian authorities to investigate the platform's role. The Constitutional Court initially confirmed the results, but later annulled them after it was revealed that Nawrocki had secretly received up to £1 million in campaign donations. This move, seen as highly unusual, halted voting in nearly 1,000 overseas polling stations and highlighted growing concerns about Russian influence in Eastern Europe. Wait, Russia? Interfering with people's elections? What? But hey, these guys actually did something about it and annulled the results, so huge kudos for that. Karol Nawrocki was banned from standing for election again and is under investigation on 6 counts, including misreporting campaign spending, illegal use of digital technology, and promoting fascist groups as Prime Minister. But Simion, the right-wing guy, said if he was elected, he would bring that guy back. Come on. Earlier this month even, things were still chaotic. The first round of Romania's presidential election saw hard-right George Simion take a win, triggering the collapse of a pro-Western coalition government. It raised the risk of pushing the country into recession and saw the resignation of leftist Prime Minister Marcel Ciolacu. Leading up to Monday's results, it wasn't clear who would win. It was a knife-edge vote between an EU-critical, Trump-admiring populist and a pro-Ukraine centrist independent. In an election that analysts have called the most important in the country's post-communist history. With all the votes counted on Monday morning, Dan won with 53.6%, beating George, who got 46.4%. Dan had called the runoff a battle between pro-Western and anti-Western Romania. Dan, who's 55, is a soft-spoken mathematician and Bucharest independent mayor since 2020. He pulled off a comeback after losing badly to Simion in that first round. Simion, who's a loud EU-skeptic Trump fan, had pushed to cut support for Ukraine. Turnout for the election was nearly 65%, the highest in 25 years, showing how much was at stake for Romania's future in Europe and its economy. Mujtaba Rahman, managing director for Europe at consultancy Eurasia Group, told Reuters news agency, "It's another example of the positive Trump effect on European election cycles, where concerns about the political and policy direction moving in a MAGA-like way have mobilized voters." Dan ran on a pro-EU, pro-NATO platform, promising to fight corruption, keep backing Ukraine, and keep Romania aligned with the West. It's a victory for the many people who believe Romania can move in the right direction, Dan told supporters after his win. He also urged hope and patience, saying the country was heading into a tough period. His supporters were going wild, chanting, "Russia, don't forget, Romania isn't yours." At one point, they were so excited they almost mobbed their new president. The election itself was edge-of-your-seat drama, honestly. At first, Simion, who actually, by the way, at one point advocated for what he said were the country's historical claims on Moldovan and Ukrainian territory. By the way, a NATO member. Yeesh. Ugh. Sorry. Anyway. At first, he actually refused to concede, literally posting on his socials on Sunday, "I am the new president of Romania." Crazy thing to say when you are, in fact, not the new president of Romania. But later on, he couldn't really run that yarn anymore as the votes kept coming in for his opponent. And he eventually acknowledged Dan won, saying he won the election and this was the will of the Romanian people. He did, however, vow to, quote, "continue the fight for freedom and our great values along with other patriots, sovereignists, and conservatives all over the world. We may have lost a battle, but we will certainly not lose the war." All very ominous, taking it very well, I see. Throwing in the word war, not ideal, don't love it. The Romanian election result, though, has been greeted with a sigh of relief across the EU. European Commission President said it was a boost for a strong Europe, while European Council President called it a clear sign of Romania's support for the EU. France's Emmanuel Macron said Romania had chosen democracy, the rule of law, and the EU. And Ukraine's President Zelensky thanked Dan, emphasizing the importance of Romania as a reliable partner. Not everyone is happy about it, though. The result is a blow to Hungary's Viktor Orbán and Slovakia's Robert Fico, both critics of Ukraine aid, as it denies them a new ally in key EU decisions about the war, energy, expansion, and budget. Romania is a semi-presidential republic, so the president plays a key role, not just any sort of ceremonial one. The president handles foreign policy, approves laws, and leads the military. Dan now faces big challenges, including picking a prime minister who can form a majority, cutting Romania's huge budget deficit, the worst in the EU, and calming investors who worried about the chance of a Simion victory. Another interesting parallel between Romania and Australia's elections, other than just the mini-Trump-esque candidate not winning, was the public's general frustration with main political parties, with voters leaning towards smaller third parties or independent candidates. Check out a full rundown on both Canada and Australia's recent elections here, somewhere over there. The global implications of any election right now feel huge. It feels like countries are falling into place on which superpower they're either for or against. And multiple elections are a sort of referendum on Trump's America or Putin's Russia. Basically, nations are taking sides. And although we can breathe a little sigh of relief that trends are shifting towards the left worldwide, denouncing Trump-esque politics, the fact that nations are taking sides is scary. The free, democratic world is looking for a new leader, as it's clear the United States is no longer up for the challenge, and Romania has chosen theirs. So what does this all mean? This wasn't just a big week for Romania, Poland, and Portugal. It was a snapshot of a bigger global shift. As voters around the world confront rising nationalism, political disillusionment, and the lingering influence of Trump-style politics, we're starting to see a pattern. People are showing up, speaking out, and demanding something different. In Romania, they chose the West. In Poland, they're still deciding. And in Portugal, the rise of the far right is forcing a political reset. It's messy, it's unpredictable, but it matters a lot. Elections like these are no longer just about domestic policy. They're about whose side you're on in a completely fractured world. As the US continues to fuck up global leadership, countries like Romania are stepping up and choosing the EU, choosing NATO, choosing democracy. It's eerie though. I feel like something's brewing. And I think we should brace ourselves for a lot more global change. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, you should subscribe. We do 5 videos a week on everything happening all around the world, in the news, and on the internet. Just want to apologize while we're here. I tried so hard to pronounce everyone's names right. I tried so hard, but the New Zealand accent is not made well for European names. I did my best. I tried my best. Please let me know which ones I got wrong and how I'm supposed to say them. Bye.